Thermal imaging camera, so you guys should be able to see me in there. So red, orange, and yellow guy. So with this one, we are looking for those cold spots to be blue or black because it's set up to white, hot, black, cold. I'm looking for those cold spots to move or to take shape. And when I say take shape, I want a head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. That's what I've caught in the past. That's hopefully what we're going to capture again. So that's the cool thing about this. I also have this guy set up with a blue dot. The blue dot is there bouncing around the screen, showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So I'm looking for 15 plus degree temperature drops. The ambient temperature for us out here tonight, I want to say is like 66 degrees. So I'm going to be looking for 51 degrees and below out of that blue dot. If I find one, I'll screenshot it and you'll have it as a separate screenshot along with the marker so you guys can go see it move for yourself. So again, your report gets pretty detailed once I start finding things. So with this one, Africa?
Yeah.
Let me tell you the layout of the land. The mansion sat in the front, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across. We are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. It came directly from Africa. So, it's a good connection. Again, I'm not like solid proof, put my stamp of approval.
We're at 2.6 and went up to 3.1 and then back to 0.
So 3.1 is your highest.
That was the highest we got right standing.
So now
we're at 2.8.
Now don't give me anything below that 3.1. We're going to keep it escalating.
4.9.
Here we go. Now we're on it. Hang on, let me write this
Then
stuff.
it goes pop right back to 0.
Yep, that's what we want.
Apple tea, what would that be?
What is it?
Apple tea and then disease following.
Apple tea?
Apple and the letter T. Or applet, I don't know. Looked like apple with T at the end of it.
I don't know. Well, an applet is actually, I want to say that's a computer term. I have to dive into the definition, but the first thing that comes to mind is a computer term. It's not because of Apple products.
Right.
I think it's something else, like it's part of a computer chip of some sort in a regular PC. I'll dive into it just to make sure, but that's my first instinct.
We're bouncing around the 2.9s.
Okay.
Went to 1.1 and back up to 2.
Well, let's get above that 4.
Yeah.
Because again, I keep it escalating so that way I don't have a whole notebook full of numbers.
I got you.
So the average.
We're in the same spot.
So let me kind of give you a gist of what he's looking at, just so you guys have that idea before I get into the history of the space. So that thing measures electricity in the air. If you were to put that behind your TV set, it's going to go between 40 to 60 milligauss. Your microwave heating up your food is about 150 to 170, and that's on the outside of it. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been here. I've been ghost hunting for 14 years. And this was just a few weeks ago. It actually errored out, which means it went well above 200 for it to be able to give us an error code. We had already seen it in the 150s and 170s, and then it jumped up to error 3 different times, and we left. The reason why,
it bounced to 30.6 briefly.
I have epilepsy. That's too much electricity in the air for the guy with the neurological disorder. So again, if it's going to just stay steady high like that, we got to go. That's why he's my safety director. I kind of have to keep an eye on myself when those numbers start to go triple digits. So you're at 30 point what?
30.6. It briefly bounced to it, yeah.
Okay, so let's just keep your baseline at 25. Don't give me anything below a 25.
Gotcha.
That little blinky light device that I put away only goes to 25. We would have missed out on that 30 if we were only using the blinky light device. See why we don't use it?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about why we're here. Eliza and Charles Pinckney actually had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks, in case you weren't paying attention. That's why we look for the secondary clues. One of those Charleses that I just spoke of, that's the one whose birthday is today. So with that said, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us. I hate politics. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about Eliza instead. If I don't give the gentleman their recognition, they'll do it for me nastily through a spirit box. Where the hell is my recognition kind of stuff. And it is not radio chatter. I've had plenty of messages come through that were not radio chatter from this location. Eliza. She marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say it slowly because if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, don't expect numbers from the colonial days, like when women got married at the ages of 12 and 14. Think of today's standards.
43.5.
Because her husband was over double her age when they married. It was creepy then, it's creepy now. So I'm just going to point that out. It's a little bit of a clue. By the way, I will not be giving you questions here like what color was George Washington's white horse? Like what we did over there with the big red barn. You will be getting the answers from your communicators. Back to Eliza. She married her husband because her father was over in England. He thinks he's dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home one last time so he could see them. Eliza did not believe he was dying, so instead she stayed put right here, got married. It's 1744. You do not get married in that year to get a green card. We are not a country yet. There's no such thing. She did marry him out of love. So this is a true love story, believe it or not. Nothing horrific about this. But she was right. Dad did not die right away. And instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where you're standing. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Eliza was a botanist and really into plants. Indigo, by the way, is a plant that makes blue dye. Makes your blue jeans blue. I think you are all wearing it right now.
Death. I heard death.
We're going to be asking about her death here shortly. She's all excited. We're on a ghost hunt. She hears the word death. They're all dead. So I'm just going to point that out right ahead of time. So at any rate, so when she got her seed, she had to learn from her servants how to keep it going. It's obviously not warm here all the time. So when she learned how to keep it going, she learned how to make the dye and then moved it to a cash crop, got a hold of Dad overseas and told him that the rice plantations were going downhill. They were going to make a killing with the indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. It's something absolutely unheard of.
Christianity.
Okay. Now that she's getting the gist of it, I will not be writing down all of everything that she says, just so you guys know. So if I don't get super excited about something and whip out the notebook, which, by the way, I'm already excited because we have a 43, we have birthday. I don't know what the 99 means yet. It could be a jersey number. It could be a year. I don't know. It could be a date of September. Oh, it actually could be a date. If you look, I'm sorry, this is me outside the box thinking. Big John's birthday is actually September 9th, 99. You guys are seeing where I'm going with that. It's kind of a stretch, but until it... Oh, and we had the word birthday. So it could be relevant to him. Interesting.
It was 1999.
I get it, but your spirit box is also slowed down. So if you ask what color is a big red barn and you hear Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, I don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. I just need the red. We have the message. So again, with it sped up, it might only give us the word red or the nosed reindeer kind of mentality. It'll give us less and less. So back to Eliza. Here's what we're going to focus on. That's kind of the boring business stuff of her. Now that you guys know that she was obviously a big businesswoman internationally to help get the country started. I'm going to give you guys focus questions, basically. You can either ask things out loud or you can just kind of focus on those things. There's no right or wrong way to do this. With the type of spirit box that you have, you're going to be focused on her death. So you can ask the 4 major things that we get common answers to: how old she was when she died, what she died from.
Was she drunk?
She was not drunk.
Okay.
But we are near the bar. Where she's buried, which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Do you know what a pallbearer is? Do you know what a pallbearer is? So the people that carry the coffin to the actual grave are called pallbearers. So it's an honor to be able to do that. Eliza had a president do that first. That should tell you how important she was. Okay, so I'm just not going to tell you which president it was. Kristen, with yours, you already had the word blaze. That's exactly normally the question that I give you guys for that particular spirit box is what happened to the mansion? It was on fire. At this point, you're hoping to get the date. So you can ask Eliza, thanks for giving us the word blaze. We understand that your home caught on fire. Can you tell us when that happened? And I've just done that for you in case you were wondering. It's not like she can't hear me. But hopefully you will get the exact date. Now keep in mind with all of the devices that we have, so we actually have audio on the camera, my audio, your communicator, her communicator. The answer can go anywhere. It doesn't matter who's asking questions. It's going to go to whoever picks it up. You have to imagine when I have my teams of 10 to 12 out here, there's more than one spirit box. So there's plenty of people with headphones on walking around going, what the hell's going on? And they just get it, like, I just heard the word blaze, and I wasn't even asking about anything like that. I'm like, well, that's because so-and-so over there was, and you got the answer. That's how this works. That's why there's always 2 communicators, minimum. That's kind of how I like to operate. Even if it was just the 2 of you, I would be using that in my pocket and just kind of pulling it out from time to time and letting you use the headphones. So again, always 2 communicators. But we are going to spread out a little bit and kind of like just venture around the lot. Just stay away from the, what do we got, 2 to 3 vehicles in here? Especially with the camera. Again, these cars normally belong to people that work down here. But yeah, let's get to work. I'm more interested to see what else Daniel's going to find on that EMF meter. Hopefully he gets above that 40. And not too high though. So
now it's gotten up in the 20s a few times.
So we're just walking around.
You got it.
Here.
Ask some questions. Let's see what we can get out of this. I do want to see your word list though. Just to see if anything else popped up. Hit the little box to the right.
You gotta look. I think you need to look up at the buildings.
This would be good in a horror movie. This would be good in a horror novel.
Red wine.
Red wine.
Coming back.
Sports.
Okay. Gotcha.
Now I gotta remember which Charles' birthday is. No, take that back. Today's birthday is somebody else completely. It's John Calhoun's birthday. You got anything weird on there that you can see?
Is she looking for the blue dot? Is that?
Yeah. Well, she's looking at the blue dot to see if it goes down pretty cold, and then of
So
course
we're
any
good.
blue people walking around.
So the blue dot's here then, right? I'm just curious. I'm just looking over it. It's right now.
Yep.
It's right there. isn't
Yeah, it's going to be on that black cold spot because it's obviously probably wet with mud.
Right,
So
or
it's going to be
it's in the
cooler
shadow.
than right. So, but look for blue people in there. That's basically what you're after. Little Smurfs running around. Did you hear me about the birthday thing? I was wrong. It's actually John Calhoun's birthday.
Ah.
He's pretty close to where we're going. That's the reason why I have it listed on my data sheet, like why the dates are relevant. For some odd reason, I was thinking it was one of the Charleses today.
Smoking weed.
Obviously, we have smoking, which is still fire related, with that 164.5 you said?
Yep.
Eliza, you gonna give us the date? Got a lot of things are on fire.
Gospel.
I'm taking church now.
You guys get like Claire's like the star right now. Like usually when we spread out like this, I focus on what the communication is coming out of the spirit boxes, because that's usually where we get most of our evidence from.
Place used to be.
Obviously, we have that 160, so I'm excited about that. I'm just glad it's not staying up that high.
Fire.
Fire again. Come on, Eliza, we need the dates. What are the numbers for the dates? Dates for fire.
Yeah, you'll get
Alright, I think it's time to rein it in.
Yeah, it's just been more not going to zero here. Went up to like 20s a few times.
Okay.
But it's fine.
Anything out of yours?
No.
You can hit stop out of yours if you want to. Give your hands a break. That way you don't have to hold it up. That's cool. You don't need to keep it on a person. You can actually, we prefer, as far as like getting any kind of activity out of here, is to point it one way or the other. So if another tour comes in, you just turn right back into us, or just move the camera so you're not filming them. Kind of
So
mentality.
you should like go like that way, for example, right now. You can just stand, I think, though, right?
Yeah, so let's get her back in here.
Come here, son.
Come on. Well, we got people walking up anyway, so we want to try to.
And there's people up there.
Oh, that's another tour. Yeah, they didn't pay to get filmed like you guys, so I just try not to interrupt like what they're going through. And again, I'm the weirdo, but that guy's pretty cool. He actually fist bumps me every time I walk by him. Any other terms I need to know about from the word list before we get started while we're here?
American. Oh no, I'm sorry. What is it? Gotta get my damn glasses out.
Let's put her ears away.
Insects itching.
Insects itching.
And you got American from that one.
Well, it was something else. Capacity, weapon, rock.
I got nothing with rock.
Insects itching.
That's weird. That was showing up on that thing like 5 years ago. I've been using that app a long time. And at one point, I was actually investigating. It was an old cotton warehouse where it was actually destroyed by the boll weevil. So it's a bug that eats cotton.
Right.
So we had that term show up there, and something about insects showed up on a regular spirit box. So it was actually relevant. So I was kind of like, okay, we got something. So it was just one of the pieces that came through. But anyway, back to why we're here. This is Philadelphia Alley. This used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur. So it's kind of like take 10 paces away from each other, turn and
Right.
shoot kind of mentality. So a lot of people think dueling with swords. This is guns. So I say some of the duels occur here because dueling was illegal back in the colonial days. So they tried to find hiding spots. This just happened to be one of them. So everybody tells the same story while we're down here. So I'm actually going to keep this out of my mouth because everybody else does it. But this thing is one of them. All the things that are down here. Go back and kind of hear what he has to see. So I can't take him out because he also follows me to our last stop. I'll explain that when we get there if the Indian shows up. But anyway, I'm going to give you some more details on this story because we're not doing campfire marshmallow like everybody else. So here's how this goes. A doctor moved down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl while we're here, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. We get it all the time. And it is just Brown Eyed Girl, that lyric that will show up. Now, he comes down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancee, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her parents. She's an attorney, helping out with all the cash she just got. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. He comes to Charleston to prove that he's not. On his way into town, he had a coachman who brought him in and set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay here. So somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen. So by the way, that coachman is kind of like having a really bad Uber driver. Like he set you up and you're going to die wherever he drops you. The person walking by, as soon as it's about to happen, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I stopped slowly on his name because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from. getting his initials all the time on a Raspberry box, so I bought another device that only gives us letters based off of EMF. It's basically a digital lead. So we've gotten the letters RI several times during the time that I've had it. I can't say it's an every night occurrence, but we're coming by to say that it's probably still behind me. But he tells the doctor, dude, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill me. I'm going to make him better 50 now. I got friends that even mentoring the same thing. The doctor won't find out. So the two gentlemen become friends, and the longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. It's really good. He's not after. He's making his own. So maybe gets into this. She's coming down so they can be married. Dr. Ladd being known as the listening doctor. That's another reason why I was going to take this story out. It's a giant paranormal cliche. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit, by the way, is going to have a cliche of listening ghost. We all have one. Ours just happens to be a doctor. Anyway, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So one night they go see Richard III, and they're arguing over the
But I might have just said doctor.
surprise.
But I feel like it's a doctor.
Well, again, the doctor's nickname being the whistling doctor, but many times had a listening part of a song before she heard the word doctor. And she just may not have been paying attention. You get it from a song, and then doctor comes from a commercial. Doctor, get it all the time. Another reason why I won't take this out of my route. But anyway, they're arguing over this actress they just saw, and Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiance, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It got really ugly, and they went their separate ways. So, with that said, Ralph has friends around town. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of like, you're a disgrace to society. Kind of stuff. The doctor saw the ad, he got a whip, let's go to Brewer's Alley. We're going to settle this, and somebody's going to die. So they came down here, they took the 10 paces away from each other, turned, and the doctor pointed his gun in the air and shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage to show up. Ralph has his one bullet, puts it into the gun on the doctor. Thought they'd die. He fell to the ground. His friends picked him up and took him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later after refusing medical treatment on November 2nd of 1786. Now, I point out two things. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different back then than they are now. Secondly, he is a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but obviously he's innocent. And every tour that's around us is going to tell their guests to listen for the whistles. And we can. I know, I see you dancing around. I'm trying to rush through it. So we can actually, yeah, we can actually get him up and around the corner, and I'll tell the rest of us get up to the next time. I'm good with that. You guys good?
Yeah.
So he can stop dancing?
Yeah.
All right, Chloe, let's take a hike. That's all right. Footage of this location to see what we can get out of it, and we'll take it from there. Now, our next location will be our last. It is a different type of experiment of what we've been doing, by the way, so I'll explain that before we leave the space. But we will all be involved in working together, and it is very, very interesting. So we're going to hopefully see how this goes. But Daniel, you might actually be somewhat familiar with what we're about to do next. It's the Estes method. Are you familiar with that?
Nope.
Not at all?
No.
Okay.
I get all my information off this one podcast called The Confessionals. So it's a little paranormal, and it's a little like chasing the Yetis and dogmen and
A lot of cryptids.
cryptids and things like that.
Gotcha.
So it's a little bit
ancient aliens.
Nothing wrong with ancient aliens. Some good
Great
theories
history.
on there. If you're into, like, there's one particular podcast that really got me turned on to podcasts in general. It does kind of cover all the same things that you're already listening to. It's called Graveyard Tales.
I think I've heard it. He may have talked about that because he was inspired by other people. Too,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, those two guys. First off, they're funny as hell. They're two hillbillies from the woods, and they love, and they're detailed, like very detailed. And like their podcasts now, I think, are like between an hour to an hour and 15 minutes per episode. I mean, they do a crap ton of research.
Right.
So you'd enjoy them too. Like they're pretty fun. All right, let's spread out. Let's get to work. What do we have going on with your list, by the way?
Tourist, seller,
Solar.
discovered. Discovered was on.
Pretty weak stuff.
Celebrate.
We're hot chef terrific.
Yeah, right.
So the next location, we're gonna find. I'm gonna talk to her if she's the ghost. She's not gonna know it. I'm not gonna take that.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the hubby in the secondary part. Right, virtual reality. And it's gonna create images, hopefully based off of a conversation that I'll have. So it's very experimental.
Okay.
It's like a 50-50 shot that we'll get like pretty well.
Waters.
But it is fun to watch because sometimes when it sounds like it's conversational, but they're funny answers.
Huh.
So again, without knowing the history, like none of you are going to know the history.
Right.
They're this size. So normally what I would do is I would take the two that are going to be underneath, like, the whole session, and I would just sit them on a bench and then take the rest of the group away and tell them the history so they can watch it unfold. The group this side is more fun that nobody knows anything,
Right.
and then I reveal it all at the end. So when she says something silly, now we know why she said something silly. So,
Okay.
Make a wish.
she's getting pretty good at it. That's why I'm going to put her under.
How are you doing, Chloe?
She's been rocking out. I could see her singing and bopping around. I don't know what she's listening to.
Anything of interest?
When those 51 degrees or below. And it's not always a real-time moment with those either. I send those videos to YouTube so you guys can watch them on your TV.
Okay.
I watch them on a large computer.
Right.
So I don't always follow up with the smaller cameras. We're near the church. I'm not surprised. Like, that's the tallest steeple.
Yeah.
By the way, with yours, I don't get super excited the closer you get that way, because the first person you move into electrical pole. Okay, yeah, I'm really good.
Prayer walk. Love.
Anything weird? It's weird how the brick didn't hang on to the heat like the building did. See how the wall is cooler than the building itself?
Yes.
Just interesting. The brick. Mom, you got anything else going on with that thing?
We got decompose and scene and confrontation.
Loving it.
You heard the word alley. So we're going to get the bleed over from Doc. So the confrontation could be something relevant. I'm not convinced yet. But she did get the word alley. She keeps hearing the word love, which we just talked about the many lovers of me and Bonnie, of course.
Right.
We get a lot of sexual terms that show up here today.
Ah.
So I'm just glad none of those are popping up when we have a bunch of teenagers here. I mean, some pretty raunchy stuff that's come through here. Yeah. And they don't look for it. Like, they hear it on the way in. Like, they don't even know the story yet, and they're hearing the thing already.
Right.
So, but she's on a roll.
You coming up with anything?
We looked at the wall a little bit, just because when we're
Ooh, I just heard hanging.
looking at the different temperatures between the brick and the cement, was a little odd to me, just because of the temperature today. The brick should have held onto the heat just as much as those blocks of the building. But apparently it didn't.
Beat it.
Jacket. Michael
Jacket.
Jackson. Yeah, jacket.
Yeah, I was specifically beat it by Michael Jackson.
But you have the word jacket on it. That makes sense here. Oh,
Trish.
Single.
And you want to tell us more about this jacket? Who did it belong to? and give us their name. You're giving us a lot of little tiny clues. We need more definitive things. Doc, if you're here, we need more from you, not these little tiny vague terms. You guys don't know how this works. I'm really surprised we're not getting anything from Calhoun today. Like Calhoun today, he's the guy with his birthday today.
Right.
So I'm really surprised you guys aren't hearing things, seeing things relevant to him.
Huh.
So.
Southern.
Daniel, anything else?
Nothing.
Damn. I was hoping with that little blip you had, we'd get something else. That would be kind of a spike that Claire's just missing things. And is that the garage you guys are on? Or this is the Cumberland garage. You guys said Queen.
I'm not sure. There's the other.
Because there's a
We were near King and Queens.
King and Queen.
It's King. Do they intersect?
Yeah.
Or do they run?
They do.
If they do, it was pretty close to that area.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we were on King. Turn left. Vice versa.
Gotcha. Okay. We're actually going to pass it on our way to the next stop, so you'll see how close you are. Come on, Claire. What else you got?
Basketball.
Nah. Try again.
Restaurant.
Too much good for you out here?
They're actually good for this temperature. Anything colder.
Cash.
This is one space. Yeah, they, for
Just
this,
notice how thin they were when we
for
put
this
them on.
temperature, they're super thin, but like this is perfect. Any colder though? Up more like in the winter up north. That's good.
I use heated toilets out here. They're fingerless. Like the fingertips are cut
Right,
off, so I can
right.
operate
You can do
everything.
everything, right?
But they're heated. They keep hands pretty good. I actually use them while typing too. I have carpal tunnel coming as much as more than damn people. We'll give Claire another.
Exorcist.
What's that?
Exorcist.
Oh, nice. We'll give Claire another minute and see what else we got going on here, and then maybe
Angel.
wrap this one up. She's getting a lot of religious terms because of the church. We get a lot of that. I know she heard like Christianity and gospel back at the Pinky Mansion, but they really start to pour through.
Seizure. Crazy.
It's kicked off double zeros, but nothing over one.
Okay. All right, I say we call it. And you didn't give us much tonight. Good. Try again tomorrow. All right, let's head over towards this wall. I'll give you guys the name. So I actually am excited about the little 4.5 that he had because we don't normally see anything out of this location. I think the highest we've ever had out of this location was like a 12 a few months ago, and we actually had several blips throughout while we were here. But you guys remember the heated warning I gave you at the top of the night? Headache, nausea, dizziness?
Right.
This is the location why. It was not like a scare tactic or anything like that. Like, it's a real thing for me. So a couple of years ago, month of September, it was a little bit warmer than it is now. I took my group to the back like I always do, just to stay out of the way of the other tours that are cutting through. And the kid next to me, he's probably 20, 21 years old. He's starting to faint. Like, he's dropping like a wet noodle. I got to pick up this kid by his armpit so he didn't hit his head on the ground. His boyfriend picked him up from the other side of him. We brought him to this wall, and he was feeling better. He was okay with me to continue. This used to be the last stop. So I told the story that I told you, and then I spread everybody out because there was like 3 stories I would tell here. And I had people across the street, but the 2 guys, like, they stayed behind. They pull me aside and say, "Hey, Nick, we got to tell you something." I'm like, "What's going on?" "We are 2 transgender males, 2 females dressed like males, just like Ann and Mary in the story on the tour." So it made sense, but it was still an unexplainable piece. So this is the weird shit that I see that I have to believe there's no such thing as coincidence at this point. If I have a psychic or a medium, another reason why I have you guys show up early, I like to get a feel for who I have. A lot of psychics and mediums will confess right up front, I'm a sensitive, this, that, or the other. I make sure that they do not get a headphone spirit box. I don't want to interfere with what they're already getting. It's too much to handle. I've had too many psychics literally pass out and then not tell me that they were a psychic until they're on a gurney going to the ER. So it happened all the time when I first started doing this. So that's why another reason I'm like, please show up between 8:45 and 9 o'clock. Just so that I can kind of get a feeler of what's going on here. That's kind of, again, not a scare tactic, it's a real thing. So let's talk about Anne Bonny, and then I will tell you what we're doing next. So Chloe, you can stop your video if you want to, so you can give your hands a break again. This is one of the few pictures of Anne Bonny you can find. About your occupation. What did you do for a living? She was doing really good, and then she shut up.
That's Kathy.
I don't know who Kathy is. What did she just say? Did you catch that? Daniel, you might get 1 image, you might get 10. I never know.
I had an image when I first got on, like a lady,
Okay.
like with arms and screaming.
What was the time era?
It would have been older.
Okay.
If I had to guess, it would have been like
Like
old cartoons.
like 1900s?
Probably
1900s.
Left hand.
Left hand. I don't know if Henry was left-handed. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever had anything like that come up. Henry, can you tell me if you were left-handed? That's a yes/no question.
Of course.
Henry, let's go back to what you did for a living. What did you do for a living? How did you make your money? I don't know what is squeaking over there. It sounds like a
I just
squeaker.
looked like an opera. If he was an opera man.
Does she have both ears?
Party.
Henry, your occupation, please. Keep it simple.
Thumbs up. Baby.
So you want to go straight into your son. Can you tell me your son's name?
window
Window?
with maybe feet or the door. Something like swirling, like almost like the doctor's sign to the left. It's weird.
Doctor sign. Dr. Ladd, are you here?
You know what the doctor's sign with the snake?
Yeah.
Kind of looks like
Mhm.
that.
Like the sword with the snake wrapped around it?
Yep.
Dr. Ladd? If you're here, you need to give me something definitive. What was the name of your fiance? Give us your first name. I'm still looking to speak with Henry for him to tell us what he did for a living to verify that he's actually here. That thing can be very intense. She did a pretty good job throughout the evening.
Bath.
Henry, what did you do for a living?
Spending all your time.
You gave us the word baby, but I'm not super convinced that that's what you want to talk about tonight.
Fire pit.
Henry, you can throw an image
Let me.
in the green box too. Daniel's waiting for another image.
Overlooked.
Your work is not overlooked anymore. They're teaching it in college these days. But you need to tell us what that occupation was. What did you do? Yeah, you gotta like stroke this guy's ego a little bit.
Ghost.
Ghost. Of course. We know you're a ghost. He was a writer. He was a poet. So that's why it threw me off when she said left-handed. Sometimes we'll hear like, I don't know if that was right or wrong, but I still have the word right, even though it's taken out of
Crossing.
context.
15 million.
Let's go to Dr. Ladd and see if he's here. Dr. Ladd, can you tell us the name of your fiance, please? I don't normally go to you directly. I usually have you step back so Henry can come through. But if you're here, let's get some verification. The doctor symbol's not going to be enough for me.
So Kathy, not his.
Nope. Dr. Ladd's fiance was Amanda, if you recall.
Yeah, there we
90s. All about me.
What do we got here? We got an old house. No, it's like almost like it's pillars. I'm sure, but it's like ruined. It's not like a full building. It's like it's fallen down.
Like an old southern house? You see columns.
Yeah, there's columns, but it's like part of it's fallen down.
Okay.
It's like it's dilapidated. It's like you can kind of see through the front door, but like behind it's not the house. It's
20%.
trees.
What's the color of the house?
Monday and
White.
Wednesday.
It's gone.
Might be the house that Henry grew up in. He did grow up in an old southern house down here. Picture of him there. Maybe he's trying to show us something. Henry, are you trying to talk about your childhood? Henry, we're running out of time. We're down to about 2 minutes.
U.S.
You're going to have the most still feature to watch I think I have ever come out of one of these tours. Like, she's been super still with that thing all night long, and I love it. It makes it so much easier to watch. Henry, or Dr. Ladd, you have about a minute to 2 minutes left. If you have anything to say, now is the time to do it. Another image would be grateful too.
Not breathing much more.
That's an interesting piece. Henry, we tried to keep it simple tonight. Dr. Ladd, this is your
Yeah.
chance. Is that what it is? Henry, if you'd like us to go home and leave you alone, just say the word home.
Online. Chevrolet.
I thought she's just walking around talking. Moving her head around like nothing's going on.
go.
How? S-O?
Period.
C.
Sense of humor.
Henry, we're going to wrap this up. Can you tell us goodnight? Henry,
A real person 24/7.
told you, it could be silly.
Sounds like Bumblebee.
Where do you get the recording back? Henry, going once. Going twice. Dr. Ladd,
So much opera.
going once. Going twice. Alright, Mom, let's tap her out. Dad, go ahead and peel that off your face. Let's see what we got. Chloe, you can stop your